Merry Christmas and welcome to the story of Carol the Elf. Carol is a second-hand Elsa doll that I've been waiting to work with for about a year. Today I'll be redoing her hair and makeup and turning her into an elf from this year's production of Elf the Musical at my theater. This is our third year doing Elf, not in a row. And while there are definitely things I miss from the old productions, there's a lot of new life in this one, including our costumes. In a lot of ways, these were easier and more fun than previous years, and I just knew I needed to make a doll for her, one of these costumes. So Carol is the result of that. She's probably one of my cutest dolls to date, and I really hope you enjoy watching the process as much as I did doing it. Also, this is an easy craft to do yourself if you want to make an outfit for your own doll. So, let's go! Now, if you've got a second-hand doll like I do, the first thing you're going to want to do is cut off the old Aki matted hair. It's terrible. I wanted to keep it, but it was just too far gone. It would have taken way too long. And I decided she needed new curls anyway. So I used some sharp scissors to cut it off as close to the scalp, and then I used a hairdryer to soften the head and body to separate the two. This is really easy to do, but you should definitely have an adult supervision if you're a kid. So after that, I take a screwdriver and go in and just try to work the hairline. I couldn't get it all out, so I went back much later with tweezers and got it all out. Instead of washing away the old face and redoing it completely, I decided to just put some glitter on the eyes to give her some very needed sparkle. If you're doing this at home, all you need is Elmer's glue and glitter. Just be careful to get the Elmer's glue on just the eyes and not the entire face. You can always scrape the extra glitter and glue off before or after it dries, but it does make everything a little neater when you just get it just on the eyes. If you block out a little bit of the shine and the pupil, that's okay. You can go back and fix that once it's all dry and ready to go. Another thing I did was pull out my trusty metallic watercolors to add a little more shine on her lips and a little bit of eyeshadow. It's very subtle, but gives it a nice little sheen. I also took some high gloss varnish and sealed in the glitter and lips. You don't need to do this is a very unnecessary step, but I liked it. It added a little more shine and makes sure that the glitter will never fall off. If you don't have it, don't worry. The glitter will probably stay on its own as long as you don't start rubbing the eyes, which, why would you be doing that anyway? My last step for the face was to perk up the eye shines. For one, I used some puffy paint to just dot the smaller eye and make it really white. It looks really great. But for the big shine, I got my jewels out and glued it right there. I got some, what's the word for this? Iridescent. I got one of my iridescent jewels, popped that one with some Elmer's glue, and it looks fantastic! For the hair, I used some old doll craft hair that I got from a friend. Now, if you're a kid following along, this is where you hand it off to an adult because you gotta use a hot glue gun. So adults, what you do is first you wrap the long length of this kind of doll craft hair around an object to get the lengths you want and then cut them off. Then you take the hot glue gun and pour a line either on any surface that you can peel it off later. Press the doll hair in, maybe add a little more hot glue and then press it with a length of silicone or something else that'll let go. That way it'll form a weft you can apply to the head. Once the glue is set and dried, you can just peel it off. Then you take the doll's head, you pour on more hot glue to where you want the weft, press the weft in, and then use the end of your nozzle to melt the top edge. Just press it in and just melt it. You maybe use your silicone string or whatever to flatten it out so that you can get it as flat as possible. Repeat this process until you've got hair all the way around the head and to where you need it. Because remember, you're going to be putting a hat on here. Elves have hats, and they are adorable in them. Okay kids, time to jump back in. We're gonna make the clothing patterns for your little elf outfit. For the front panel of the shirt, you trace around the torso and measure it to get the shape on the right. For the sleeves, you measure the arm and then match the angles so that they sew to the front and back panel. For the back, you copy the front panel and then slice it in half to make room for the Velcro. For the shoes, you trace this shape, making sure there's room for it to close all the way around. The hat is much the same, but it's best to make this out of a stretchy fabric, also the shoes, so that it'll really fit. For the skirt, you just get a bowl or something that is the shape you want, then cut a hole in the middle when you cut the fabric. For the last step, get adult supervision so you can cut out your patterns. Here are all the pieces you'll need to do the shirt and the skirt. Take this time to double check that you have everything you need so that when you go to the next step, you don't have to search around. That next step is to trace your patterns onto the fabric you want. I recommend felt and using a pencil or pen that won't stain through. I like using felt for this project because then you don't have to hem it. And make sure at every step that you check that it does fit around the doll. For the shoes and hats, I use Polar Fleece, which also doesn't need to be hemmed, but is also very stretchy, so I never have to worry about tearing it when I put it on the head and feet. The final step is to cut everything out. Make sure you've got 2 sleeves, 2 pieces of the hat, and 4 shoes to get everything you need. For the next part, you could probably use Fabri-Tac or hot glue to put the pieces together, but I recommend sewing, either with a machine or a needle. So you're going to need an adult again. I'll wait. Okay adult, first you're going to want to attach the sleeves to the front and back. You want to do this unmarked side to unmarked side, or good side to good side as we call it in sewing. Now that the sleeves are attached, fold it good side to good side and sew up the sides and sleeves. Now take a moment to make sure that it does fit how you want before tearing it out with your finished shirt. Isn't it nice? Well, now the next step is to get your 2 hat pieces. All you're going to do is sew along the big back curve around the spiral and bring it back down before the first of the 2 smaller curves. Those will be for the head. To turn out the hat, you're going to need a pencil or paintbrush to poke it, your fingers to roll it, and a lot of patience. Next, you take the shoe pieces and sew them along the back, under, through the curve, and leave just a hole for the foot to go through. Now there is the chance that something you've just sewn doesn't fit. That's okay. Just go back to the pattern and remake it so it'll work properly, and sew again. Remember, there are no mistakes, no defeats. Everything is a learning experience, especially when you're making clothes for dolls. It's supposed to be fun, so don't worry about that. Now it's time to call the kids back for my favorite part. Glitter! Now you're going to need glue, brushes to brush the stuff off, a lot of patience, and a place you don't mind getting glitter everywhere. Or, you can do what I did. Almost anywhere they sell Cricut, you can get this Cricut iron-on holographic or glitter sheets that you can cut with scissors, the Cricut machine, die cutters, or heavy-duty punches if you're really determined. Now kids, it's time to get the adults back in the room. What you're going to do is put your little decorations on the fabric, and then the adults are going to iron it on. Now adults, be aware that this stuff does not actually like to stick to these fabrics, but if you're patient and you go over it multiple times, it will stay, and it is so pretty. But having said that, I do have to tell you that just glue and glitter works just as well and will give you just as pretty results with all sorts of fun, weird things you can do, including some scroll work. The only advantage it has, really, at this scale, is that there's no dry time for this. We add the closures. I recommend snaps or hooks because Velcro tends to mess up the next step. The next step is fur, which is what's gonna make this a cute little elf. Now get an adult's help to cut out all the pieces and make sure you've got everything you need. But be warned. Nothing in the world will stop this stuff from shedding. Nothing. It will get everywhere. Everywhere. Anyway, to attach the fur you can sew, but in this case I glued it on with Fabri-Tac glue. I put it on the collar, cuffs, and hem, But you can also put it on the ends of the toes. I used a puffball for this. Now if you get long fur like I did, you're going to want to cut it down. Now you can do it two ways. Just scissors and feather it out and just really pay attention. Or get an eyebrow razor and razor it. I did that along the bottom head. And while it gets a great effect, it is incredibly time consuming. Oh my goodness. Fussy like me, you may have a problem with seeing the raw edge on the fur. So I just took some metallic puppy paint and did a little line. It looks really classy, but it takes forever to dry. Last thing I did on the shirt was to add a little bow with a crystal. I used a fabric marker to make it a little more pink to match the skirt. You can add all sorts of little details if you want, and make it just extra cute. Now one of the things you can do if you're not going to change this doll out all the time is to take some spray paint and spray paint the legs so she has leggings. Now if you're doing this, you need an adult supervision. And in this last clip, you'll see that I put shading on it. Don't do that. I do not recommend it. Don't do that. Just leave it the color and it'll be cute. Here's Carol's little head. I hot glued the points of her hat up to be cute little ears. They're adorable, and she's too cute. And here is the shirt. It is utterly fabulous and snaps perfectly, so I can change her out. Not that I probably ever will. Her little shoes are so cute. Little puffball is perfect. I tried fur at first, but puffballs are the way to go if you can. And the skirt is glittery and fabulous. And we're going to put it together and see what we get. Wow, what great fun that was. I'm so glad you guys came along with me on that adventure to make cute Carol. She's one of my favorite dolls this year. And speaking of this year, I won't be posting another doll until the coming year. So, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more stuff in the next year. Follow me on Instagram. I've got a DeviantArt that I occasionally post to. Tumblr, if it totally doesn't self-destruct. If you're on Tumblr, you know what that's about. And if you want to share what you did from my tutorial, use the hashtag Here's My Elf, or just at me, Storycraft Studios. Well, mahalo for watching. Have a great holiday season, and see you around. Aloha!